Rite of Passage, the podcast with JR Martin.
Before we get into today's episode, I want to thank the Reader's Favorite Book Awards for supporting this indie author podcast. This is one of my absolute favorite book award contests. I have put a link in the description. If you are joining this contest, doing it through this link helps this channel, helps support the indie author podcast. At the end of this show, I will do a 2-minute video. I'll tell you all about my experience with Reader's Favorite Book Awards, what I got out of it, my personal experience with that. So I hope you'll stay tuned to the end, but we want to thank you, Reader's Favorite. Thank you for supporting indie authors. Okay, we're going to skip the introductions. We're actually going to do them in a little bit here. Okay, so I almost learned this the hard way. So technically, I have G. Edward Martin Books, which is technically a publisher.
Okay.
So the EIN number, there's these services on Google that are like, oh, if you give us $1,000, we'll get you an EIN number. Those are all scams. You can do it for free on like, I forget, I don't know if it's irs.gov. It might be irs.gov. But EIN numbers are totally free and it takes about 5 minutes.
I feel like I need to take a note. I feel like I need to write it down or I'm going to forget.
Yeah, because I mean, it took me, because that was one thing, like I'm trying to sign up for like, okay, TikTok business. And then they're like, okay, we need to verify your information. What is the EIN number? And I mean, it took me 5 minutes to get, and then it gets approved through. So it's basically you're just registering your business with the government. And the whole point is they're like, okay, if you're going to make money, we'd like to be aware of it and get paid via your taxes. So that's really the whole purpose, right?
I didn't know I could do it for free because like I'm looking up Florida business licenses and stuff like that. And then it's taking me to different, like a couple $100 or whatever. And my mom has a small sticker business. Like she creates stickers for planners and junk journals and stuff. I was like, what did you have to do? But we haven't had time really to sit and chat it all out either. So thank you.
I'm pretty sure. Okay, so like right now you're a sole proprietor, which is why it's so easy. Like I think you can get the EIN, and it's easy because you're just a sole proprietor. So like it's still going to be basically tied in with your personal taxes, like if you generate any money. But then later on, if you have employees or subcontractors, and then you want to back up a little bit and become an LLC, I think you can just make that switch, and the EIN number stays. You're just basically like recategorizing the business. So like, because I've had that too, where I'm like, okay, like, do I have to go down this whole official rabbit hole and make it all serious, do all these things? And I think a lot of that, like, it can all come later as you're building. You can add those things in because like now they become relevant, but right in the beginning they aren't. But you can at least just say like, this is the business, this is the name, and it is an entity that has its own website, marketing, whatever.
Don't take it. Yeah. Like it's mine. I claim it. kind of thing too.
That's kind of it too, I think, is just claiming the name, right? Because it's like domains, right? There's people who will buy domains and then literally do nothing with them and then wait for people to reach out. And like, okay, so there was one, I had an idea, like there was this expression from my generation called like mean mugging someone.
Oh, yeah.
There should be a mean mugs company. And I'll just make like offensive coffee cups and I'll draw like silly faces on them. And someone owned the name Mean Mugs, but was doing nothing with it. They were just waiting for someone to come in and make them an offer to be like, hey, I'll sell you this for a couple $1,000s. Like they probably bought it for $10 a year. And they're like, well, I'll give it up for 2,000 or something,
Yeah.
So claiming the name is good.
Yeah, for sure. And I know Indie Creator Collective it's a name in of itself explains exactly what it is. And indie authors and everything, we kind of claim indie, like independent, and we kind of claim that. So it's easy for others that are out there to use it. So I'm like, I just can't keep saying it without claiming it, and
hey, did you already, just really quick, did you already buy the domain for that?
I have it in process, but it's already published under my name on Patreon. So I'm protected in terms of that for right now, but I will need to continue to solidify it as it goes and grows. And that part of it, the writing part and the getting authors and getting creator parts is the easy part, right? It's just it's the readers and the business aspect of it that I think we all run into anyway as indie creators. It's getting the readers to enjoy the process, but I
Mhm.
really believe that with this, they're going to have so much fun in telling us what to do and getting a
Right.
product from it that I think
Mhm.
they'll really enjoy it. So I'm working on that, and I'm going to team up with like I said, my mom has a sticker design company already for
Right.
herself. And so I was thinking I was going to team up with her, and it will make it more seamless of a transition. And she's so excited. She's like, "Oh, we're going to do all this bookish stuff. I'm going to make all
Right.
these merch." And I'm like, it's just nice to see everyone I talk to about it get so excited and
Right. They love the idea.
inspired by it. So I
Yeah.
know it's good. It's just we're going to grow, and it's going to be a fun process.
I think the reader part will end up being easy, but it's just like farming, right? It's like you plant a seed and then you can't dig it up the next day. It's like, but
Right.
there's a saying in marketing, and this has always stuck with me. Like you can go to 4 years of business school. The key to marketing is that sometimes your happy customers are your best salespeople. And
Right,
like
exactly.
and you
Yeah.
think of a restaurant, right? And like someone who has an amazing experience at a restaurant they want to share that with people. They're like, oh my God, we got to take you to this amazing place. Oh my God, have you tried this? Have you been there? You got to get
Right.
you don't have to do any sales at all, like happy people that you're serving. So with these collaborations, right? Like this podcast, after
Mhm.
this, I'm going to talk about it. You're going to talk about it. And it's like, and if readers enjoying it, they're going to talk about it, share it with people. And it's like
Right.
the thing markets itself if it just inherently is valuable. And that's a faith proposition that like every author, every collaboration, you just need to know like if you're doing something good, people will recognize that and they'll spread the word. And like you almost don't have to do anything at all except just focus on doing something good and valuable.
Yeah, and keeping it authentic is, I think,
Right.
the biggest thing because sometimes you can get trapped in this circle of, I have to be happy all the time. I have to be in sales mode all the time. And that
Right.
can come off so cringy and inauthentic. And it's like, and you're, I don't like to say the word desperate because I don't feel, but it can come off that way. And
Right.
desperation to humans is always a little off putting. So it's that fine line of being authentic, allowing it to snowball on its own and grow because
Mhm.
you believe in it, just like you believe in your ideas and your talent. Like imposter syndrome amongst creatives is
It's
an
huge.
epidemic, it's just what it is.
There's so much to unpack in that. I agree with you 100% in everything you just said. And the authenticity thing is huge because we don't get a lot of it, right? Like every time you turn on the TV, it's like people lying to you. It's like even the
Mhm.
reality shows. I mean, everything is scripted, everything's fake, everything is an act, right? So like when people see the real thing, I mean, they're like drawn to it, right? And it
Right.
even it does an even more valuable thing than that. Like so many people want to just kind of be themselves. But like you go to work and like people, you put on a uniform, right? And then you're like,
Mhm.
I am this person. Like I'm not really me, I'm this person in this setting. And when they see people being authentic, I mean, it gives them courage, it's inspiring. I mean, it's a valuable thing beyond just like whatever our products are. It's just good for everyone that like, hey, you can be yourself and succeed at the same time. And actually you can succeed more because you're being yourself and you're being
Right.
courageous. Yeah. I mean, it's a powerful idea that people need to embrace.
Yeah, because it's so easy to fall into the void of what social media portrays, and people have talked about it for so long now of
Right.
wanting authenticity and wanting unique features of people and
Yeah.
different things, but people still get trapped into the void of it because it's what they see, it's what's thrown in our faces all the time. So I just think it's so important to remember in such a vulnerable trade like the arts, you
Oh yeah.
have to back yourself completely and be like, this is the era I'm stepping into, right? Like, this is me, this is my goal, and this is what I want to happen.
Right.
And people will see that and be like, you know what? I want to do that too. I want to be my authentic self. I want to read what I want to read. I want to talk about what I want to talk about and
Yeah.
not be so afraid of alienating myself and that kind of concept too. In our
It's
day and age, it's hard. It's tough.
it's hard. It takes a lot of courage. I mean, it's like anyone who reads one of my books, and I'm sure any of your stories, it's like they will know you better than you'll ever know them.
Right.
And it's like being naked or something all the time. It's like, okay, like I'm putting out my
Yeah.
like authentic who I am, and like you just hope that it connects with people. And I mean, it is a very, very vulnerable thing. And authors, if you can't get comfortable with that, I don't think you'll make it.
No, no, and I think that was the biggest surprise to me because I started really holding myself accountable to this goal and this dream in
Mhm.
November of like 4 months ago.
Nice.
So I have struggled, like, of course, like all of us, I chose to put my dream into a drawer, to go down practicality, stability. And now I'm like, that wasn't so great for my mental health. Like, I'm a
Right.
creator, I'm a creative. I need to accept that and I need to pursue it, or it's just going to become this like inky mass in the back of my brain of like, why didn't you say it, do it, write it, be about
Right.
it? And I think now I've just been like, I don't have to fake it till I make it because there's nothing fake about me. I just need to do the process and
Mhm.
do the thing and connect with people. And once I connected with all of you, like on our message and on our chat, and seeing like
Yeah.
everybody's talent and everybody's journey so unique and different to the other, but
Mhm.
so welcoming. Like,
Yes.
I don't know, when you're outside of it and that imposter syndrome's eating at you, you think
Yeah.
no one's going to welcome me. They're going to either not want to help me because they're so focused on themselves, like all these projections come out. And
Right.
then when you meet somebody and they're like, "No, come on, we want you to come along." You're like, "Oh, wow. Like, this is an amazing experience. I've never felt luckier than I have since November,
It's
honestly."
amazing. And honestly, no, it is like a beautiful thing because there are certain industries where like, okay, you're in an office setting, right? Like you take everyone's advice, and you're like, I need to get with a big company. I need to have like the insurance, the 401k, like put in my 20 years, whatever. And a lot of people got burned doing that, right? Like there was a day and age when that was the thing to do. It
Mhm.
feels like these companies are more and more heartless, and like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter how long you've been there. Like they don't care about you. It's a machine. The machine is going to survive. And like if you're dead weight or perceived as obsolete, like you're out of there. It doesn't matter how much good work you've done. Um, and I could get totally sidetracked in that, but you can imagine like you got. I could go down a whole rabbit hole. Like you either chase your dream or you're building someone else's, and it's like at the end of the day, like you're gonna have no matter what, you got to work very hard. So you're gonna work very hard for yourself. You're gonna do it for someone else's dreams. Um, but you can imagine like okay, there's five people all trying to get the same promotion, and it's
Right.
like one of us is going to get it. There's only one slot. And like if it's you, maybe you feel a little guilty because you're like, these other like I love my coworkers. But if one of them gets it, you're like, that would have been really great for my family. Like I want to be happy
Yeah.
for you. So what's so amazing in this author community is like people don't approach it that way. We're like, just because someone's reading my book on a given day or your book on a given day doesn't mean that like they can't be fans of us both. And
Right.
like,
There's enough light, there's
yeah, yeah.
enough of it to share. And I mean, I feel like we could talk about this forever because I feel
Oh
like
yeah.
it's just one of those things that in every creative and every person, there's that fear of, am I showing too much? Am I taking up too little? Like, am I going to be accepted, or are people going to think I'm standoffish? It's that
Yeah.
insecurity that we all live with. And especially financial insecurity right now is like a big thing.
Right. That's probably the number one. Like, I think the two biggest things that plague people are one, worry about the future from a financial perspective, and then two, feeling like maybe unworthy. And like, even
Yeah.
very, very successful people have that chip on their shoulder that like they'll never be enough. You know what I mean? And they hold
Yeah.
themselves to an impossible standard. Like, you never be like, oh, my kids are unworthy. My dog is unworthy. The
Oh,
tree in my yard is. But for us, it's like, no, no, no matter what we can do, we will never be enough, and it's this ridiculous human trap. But the financial thing is tricky, right? And I see a lot of more on threads than anywhere else. I see a lot of very discouraged authors who are like, "Woo, I sold 3 books this month. Like, great, now I can buy a coffee, maybe." And they're. But the truth is like you might have a very profound impact on those 3 people. Like, so what if it's
right.
only 3 people? You might save somebody's life. You might shift them just a little, and over the course of 20 years, like you might do incredible work and never know it. And that's where
Right.
we Yeah.
And it's just like in terms of that, like, oh, to phrase it in a way so publicly
Yeah.
that diminishes what you've done is not
Right.
going to attract people or the right people to you. It'll
Mhm.
attract people that enjoy your misery or enjoy your unsuccess or whatever,
Right.
not successfulness. It's just, you want to, you know, and I can't think of the word right now, but you know what I mean? Like, give out the, wow, look at what I did. Look at what I accomplished. Like, a
Right.
growth mindset is what I always tell students. It's like, you can't say, I can't, I won't. You have to say, I
Right.
have not yet accomplished it. Like, or look, I got 9 out of 20 questions correct when before I only got 5, or
Progress is progress, right? Like
progress is
celebrate those
progress.
wins. No, I'm
Yeah.
someone who firmly believes that success is created in your mind before you see it in the world. And like in my
Right.
mind, and this is ridiculous, and like humility is a beautiful thing in authors, and I'm abandoning my own humility. I am a best-selling author, but I'm waiting for reality to catch up. Like that is
Yeah.
the mindset, right? Like it comes up here, but if you go into any project assuming failure, or a
It's
little
gonna
bit of it's going to do exactly what you say it's going to do. It's going to fail because in your mind, in your heart, in your language, and everything you project, it's all just like the whole thing's never going to work. So, for
right.
one reason or another, yeah, it comes up here first.
No one's going to show up on your doorstep and be like, wow, I've been watching how talented and amazing you are. Here's this gold opportunity for you. I've built this bridge for you. It's all for you. It's all done.
Right.
Congratulations. I truly believe in the power of manifesting like your future through
Yes.
positive outlook, and it took me a long time to get there. Like, I'm somebody that suffers from depression and anxiety. And it wasn't until I really looked at myself and was like, you have the power. Like, I say it all
Right.
the time to my students, all the time to the people in my life coming to me for advice. It's like,
Yeah.
you have the power. You're in control. So just do it. Create something that you believe in. And it's been life changing, honestly.
Oh,
Like,
100%. No, you're so right. Because one of my big gripes with society right now is victim culture, and that's not that people aren't victimized and bad things don't happen to people, but my biggest thing is that like these are not empowering conversations. To be like, oh, the world is against you, and there's no way you can win. I'm like, I like conversations about like, look, it comes from within you. Like you've got something amazing within you, and you can do. There is nothing out of reach if you're willing to believe, to work at it, to show up every day, even when it doesn't make sense, even when it's hard. Keep bringing the passion, keep bringing the enthusiasm, like stay focused. I mean, I like empowering conversations that tell people, like, look, you have something extraordinary, and your work is to bring it into the world.
right. And it's just like those darkest days are what inspire the best work sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's like, allow yourself to feel it. It's a normal feeling. It might be worse than others, it might be better than others
Mm-hmm.
according to the day, but use it. You have all the energy to use it. I was bleary eyed writing in my notes app, like
Yeah.
so sad. But I was like, I need to get this out. And then it turned into the book idea that I have now. So
Right. Right.
it's like you just need to let it all out and sift through it and appreciate what you have, because no matter how low you are, you have something good
Yeah.
to think about. You have a kernel somewhere.
Yeah. There's an acorn, and a mighty oak is trapped in that thing. And honestly, this is exactly the conversation I want to have. Like this is so cool for me. I love this. I'm so glad I brought you on here.
Oh,
Um,
I'm so happy.
I mean, everything you're saying, I completely like just jive with it 100%. One of these things, and based on what you just said, is like a lot of people, our instinct is to avoid that discomfort. And for some people, it's medication, but other people, it's like, oh, I woke up in a bad mood and I need to do something to feel better. And we have all different ways. I mean, some people turn to very destructive places. Some people turn on the TV and just avoid it. But honestly, I've found on the days where I just embrace it and it's like, okay, like it's like some party who's trying to tell you something that you don't know. Like you learn extraordinary things on the bad days sometime. Like you look for information in new places. You have new thoughts. Maybe you take a walk, or you know what I mean? Like you do
Right.
things a little different than you would on a happy day, and it leads you down a path where new stories get generated, right? Like you never know.
Right. And speaking of dogs earlier, I of course I have Arwen and I call her my support animal. She's not really, I don't try to take her in anywhere. Okay.
Right.
I'm not trying to sneak her into restaurants like she's my support animal. She could
Grandma
not
Whip.
handle that. She would be like, "Oh,"
I got
Um,
one.
but I was in that transition period before I had really said, if you want to write a book, stop talking about it. I heard like a saying that was like, if you're talking about writing, you're not writing. So get to writing. And I was like, wow, I
Yep.
am being all talk to all of my friends, all of the people in my life. I am just saying, yeah, I'm writing, but am I writing? No. But I'm
Right.
sad in bed after hanging out with my friends all night. And I had a really big dip. And I looked
Mhm.
at my dog and I was like, you're my only tether to this realm, like something so sad. And of course, I
Oh,
can laugh about it now, but I was like, you know what? It's time to just sit and do it. So I
yeah.
went to my computer with my blanket wrapped around me to void out the world. And I just typed. And I was like,
Right.
oh, it's happening. And then I was like, it clicked. I was like, if I want this, I have to do it. No one's going to do it for me. I got to do it.
It won't make itself. Honestly, oh, there's so much to unpack in that. A quick story. I'm gonna put myself out here in a big way. One time when I was in my like early 20s, I took some psychedelic mushrooms,
Oh.
and I was having a rough time. Like it was, I was avoiding a lot of things I should be doing. That's actually kind of when this author dream got planted, right? And I wasn't doing anything with it, and I was not connecting with my true path. I was kind of spinning my wheels. And then you take this something that like supercharges your brain, and like it can put you in like a weird place where you're like, damn, I am profoundly sad. And I had this run in with like my friend's cat, like jumped up on the bed and was just watching me. I had this moment where I realized that like cats and dogs are almost kind of angelic. Like there's a weird thing. They're more than just like we think like, oh, they need us, but we need them just as much. And I mean, just the like you have days like that where things don't make sense and life is hard, but then you got this animal that just unconditionally loves you, and you're
Yes.
like, you know what, this place right here in the present moment, there's nothing wrong. Everything that's making me anxious, it's ahead of me, it's the future, it's regrets, it's worries, but like right here right now, got my dog, life is good. There is nothing out of place anywhere. Yeah.
I totally relate to that. Everything, totally relate to it. Sometimes I
Yeah.
look at her and I call her Goobus Anubis sometimes because she has like just such an Anubis golden wolf jackal whatever
Love
form
that.
to her.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm like, weigh my heart against a feather, Arwen,
Oh,
all the
my lady
time.
on a feather. Yeah. He's
Yeah,
like
because
that.
I need some grounding. And then she just looks at me, of course, like a dog, but
He's like, hey, take it easy, Liz. We got
yeah,
you.
like I've got
We
enough
got you.
responsibilities. I don't need another one.
Oh, God. Here's another thing. I think sometimes some of this anxiousness, like I'm like neurotic by my just disposition, right? Like I'm the type of guy like if you say something stupid, it means that you're stupid. Like if you fail at something, it means you're going to fail at everything, right? Like, and that's something I've had to learn about myself. That like, okay, that's a ridiculous story, doesn't make any sense, it isn't logical. You wouldn't apply that to anybody else. So like, you do got to work through your own nature, generally, kind of understand who you are and work through that. But I have found that some of my greatest discomfort in life is when I'm not aligned with what I'm really supposed to be doing. Like if you're an artist, if you're someone who's called to write books, like there is so much dull long-term pain associated with not writing your book.
Oof.
Like having a dream you're doing nothing with, knowing you could be something but you're not even trying, like doing all this other stuff. I mean, it's like a lifetime of misery to not, it's like Jonah trying to, he gets swallowed by the whale because he's trying to run away from what he's supposed to do. And like
Right.
whether you're religious or not, that story about like, oh, I'm running away from who I'm supposed to be, and then life is like, no, 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 you don't get away that easy. Like that is one of the truest things. Like every artist should understand that, right?
There's a Dr. Seuss book
Oh,
that I
love.
read I read every year at the
Yeah,
end of a school year, right?
yeah, yeah.
And it's called The Places You Go, and you give that to like graduates all the time.
Nice.
There's a whole page dedicated to, and sometimes you'll find yourself in the waiting place and you do
Hmm.
not want to stay here too long. You'll see
Hmm.
others that have been waiting here for a very long time. You have places to go. And then
Yeah.
it goes and you get out of the waiting period. And I feel like your 20s, when you're just like striving to find some sort of stability, you get
Hmm.
into your 30s and you're like, whoa, 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 that wasn't even what I wanted to do. But
Yeah.
now I'm here, I'm in this career, I'm doing this, I'm supposedly good at this, but it's not really giving me anything anymore. And then you're like, oh, it's because I'm in the waiting place. I was waiting
Hmm.
to just have things sort of shuffle out. And then now that I'm in my mid 30s, approaching 40s, I'm like, I'm just so excited because I feel like every decade it's like, oh, new thing unlocked, new
Yeah.
mentality reached, a new growth, like all of these things. Because I think about that book all the time about the waiting place. I'm like, I don't want to be there anymore.
No, Dr. Seuss was extraordinary, right? And like I love the idea of catching people early too. I mean, like let's take our best wisdom and distill it down into a children's book and then
Yeah.
catch them young and like plant these seeds about, hey, pursuing your dreams or kindness or conservation and good stewardship of resources. I mean, whatever it is, I mean, he was a genius because it is hard to get through to adults. I mean, decades of mental and psychological emotional patterns and then trying to like throw a new idea at that. I mean, I was talking about
Yeah.
this with TA Books. It's like trying to break down a brick wall with a tennis ball. And it's like, it's going to take a lot of throws to get through that thing after decades of always doing the same thing.
Hmm.
But yeah, Dr. Seuss was amazing. And I love that idea about the waiting place. It's profound and terrifying, right? Because so many people are in that, right? I mean, they're waiting for the world to unlock some door, but really they need to just be like trying different doorknobs, right? I mean, like the world will never tell you like this is a good time to write your book. Like there will
Yeah.
never be a good time, right? Like you're young, you have all the time in the world, but you have no money, no experience. Then you're older and you have ideas and experience, but you have no time and you're working very hard. And there will never be a season that makes more sense than another season. Like you
Right.
need to grab a machete and carve the path of your dream. Like it's not going to be obvious that it's right in front of you. Like you make that path.
Exactly, and there's just so much there. It's like, the path least taken, is,
Right?
it might lead you to the same place, but if your footsteps are lost in somebody else's, you
Mm,
lose everything. And I feel like indie authors and artists in particular, our nature is to go against what pop culture is. Like, sure, we're going to go with popular trends and the things that we like because they're popular for a reason. But
right.
what we choose to represent and what we choose to discuss is what we are fixated ourselves on. And those are
Mhm.
so nuanced because we're the small folk, we're the peasants living day to day with big dreams, we
Yeah.
have it, but
Yeah.
it's like we put a spin on it that is more relatable than maybe what some elite or established people put out there all the time.
Right.
Just because it's hard when you've lost that unique experience. And I think that's why readers appreciate more and more indie creations all the time. Like they're always looking for ways to support and their minds are blown all the time. They're like, I can't believe this like
Right.
book. I'm sucked in. I never would have found them. And that's the good side of social media. It's like we get to
Right.
connect so much and so easily and choose where we put our effort and our money and our time to
Right.
really uplift each other
Yeah, I
rather
love
than how it used to
everything.
be.
I love absolutely everything you're saying. There's a couple that whole getting lost in someone else's footsteps. I'll tell you right now, that's something I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. So that's a
Oh,
wonder. I've never heard that quote, but it is a wonderful, wonderful quote.
I just made it up. So
Oh my God, put that in every book you ever write for the rest of time, because that's
I'm happy.
people understand. I mean, there's been no one on their deathbed who was like, God, I wish I took everyone else's advice, and like, oh God, I wish I had, yeah, worked for some big company. But
Yeah.
on like there's on the indie author thing, what people need to understand, like the big publishers, right? It's a business. And apparently, even among the biggest publishers like Penguin, 4 out of 5 of their books flop. Like this is the best publisher in the world. They pick the most winners of anybody, but they still 4 out of 5 times get it wrong. And it's an investment, right? They give the author $5,000 advance, and I think that has to be repaid, but 4 out of 5 books never recoup that. But they'll like take a book that maybe was extraordinary, like a really good indie author that's like found an agent, did the thing, and they'll be like, okay, these parts of the books go off script. And we're worried we're not going to get our money back because this is maybe pushing the boundary. This is maybe going to turn people off. This is too vulnerable. This is too real. So they might take a book that was great and then turn it into something commercial. And you take the beauty out of it, but you streamline it so it's like a bunch of people enjoy it instead of like a smaller group absolutely loves it and gets so much out of it.
It's like the profoundness of it. And you would think if you looked at the statistic of 4 out of 5 of your things flopping, then maybe it's something to do with trying to force things. And maybe you should have just allowed for, let's do a what if, what if
Right.
this book is, something that breaks boundaries and things
Yeah.
like that, and just allow it to happen. What if we just allowed it to happen instead of cookie cuttering
Right.
everybody's thing?
Right. Like maybe the formula's wrong. But
Right.
apparently, every once in a while you come across a J.K. Rowling or a Colleen Hoover, and those 4 out of 5 that didn't make it. There's there's some winners in there that make up for all the losses. But I mean, Harry Potter's one that completely broke new grounds, right? It's like, oh, we're gonna have little kids read 1,000-page giant book, and like, oh, they're gonna read all of them, and they're gonna buy the lunchbox, they're gonna get the backpack. I mean,
And they're going to show up at
oh
midnight
my
on release
God.
day for it.
They're gonna
Yeah.
stand outside like it's Black Friday and they're trying to get an Xbox. Like they're gonna wait outside the movie theater. Like they're gonna wear
Mhm.
the costumes. No one saw it coming. So like J.K. Rowling, I mean, I think she had a ton of rejection. A bunch of publishers are like, "This is way too out of left field. It's never gonna work. It doesn't make sense in our heads." And I don't think they read the book. I think they just looked at like, we haven't seen something like this, so it's not gonna work because we know everything. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, or we already have somebody who's sort of doing a magical thing right now. So we
Right.
don't want to do another magical thing. So we're not looking for that. Where it's
Yeah.
like, I might be biased because I love fantasy and
Right.
mythology. So to
Right.
me, there's never enough fantasy and mythology based books out there. I would love for diversity more of mythology, not just Greek mythology, but I'll
Yeah.
take, what I can get on it.
Oh, for
But
sure.
when you have those things, those boundaries that they place for whatever reason, it's like it's hard for me to think like in that business way of like, oh, well, I already have this, so no matter how great this other thing is, I can't include it.
It's
And
like a
it's
risky stock, so I'm not going to put my money into it. I mean, that's what it is like
yeah.
this investment, I don't understand it enough to put money into it. Like that's kind of what it comes down to at the end of the day.
Yeah. And
Um,
authors are brands themselves.
right,
So if
100%.
the author is coming off, which I don't agree with, but if they're coming off as their own statement, then a company is going to be like, maybe we can't risk that statement. And that's why I love in the indie community, because it's like, we don't care. We want you to be as weird and awesome and diverse and everything. We want to see it all. So there's no there's no boundary or fence.
Yeah. And you're not wrong. And like it's not like they do better with big celebrities, right? Like you give a shoe deal to some athlete and then there's some video of them, punching some guy in public. And it's like just because someone's famous doesn't mean they're not going to totally destroy your brand.
And in fact, they probably faster than a nobody that you
They're
found.
probably a little crazier than us because like the rest of us are living quiet lives and we do not have room to unravel everything we built. We don't have that kind of money.
Yeah, no, it's like, well, we'll prefer to just take the praise of that we did a job well done and go back into hiding a little, a little
We're not
bit.
rock stars.
Right.
We're living, obscene, crazy, wild lives. So we came on here to talk about your project, and we have a
Oh,
minute. We have a minute and a half left. No, this was not the conversation I was expecting, but
oh,
it was. Oh, this has been outstanding. This is so for the last minute. Let's dig in.
okay. So I wrote something so I didn't just ramble on because I
Okay.
just love to talk. So
It's
the mission the mission of Indie Creator Collective is to bridge readers and talented indie authors and artists, and just to bring us together on a Patreon where readers will vote for genre, they'll vote for the type of world they want, like timeline, so to speak. If they, like, for example, chose science fiction, that is right
yeah.
now winning the last time I checked the poll,
Okay.
then they're going to choose, like, is it steampunk, is it off world, is it um the present day but a little shifted, is it aliens, like what kind of science fiction
Right.
are they looking for? And then other authors would come in. Eventually, right now it's me because I would want to pay indie authors what they should have,
Right.
so if not, then what, once we grow, then I would be paying indie authors to write like a little excerpt or show an old thing. Readers would vote on it and say, oh, I like this voice. They choose it. And then those authors are highlighted for 3 months. They get
Yeah.
paid and they help add to an anthology. Artists the same way, like character art will be voted.
I just hit recording. So we got kicked out of Zoom, cut off, but I want to keep going on this. So we just sent a new link and we're going to continue forward. So kind of the gist of it is like it's almost like, okay, readers come to a restaurant and they're like, oh, what would we like to order? And the authors are like, if this is what you like, this is what we're going to make, and we're going to find a way to make something extraordinary based on
Right.
what the readers are really looking for.
Yeah, because I feel like so often they want to support us and they want, like, readers, they want are to hear our voices, but
Right.
writing a whole book takes time. It's an arduous journey. So they're waiting for us. And after you
Yeah.
complete a book, you need to have a reset and a refresh. And
Right.
what better way to do that than with a short story or
Yeah.
chapter that's kind of like a campfire tale between you and authors you already know, where you go back and forth and really
Right.
build something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and depending on the tier that they subscribe, it's like there's a dollar tier where they get to be still a part of discussions. They still can
Right.
maybe get some like different cute stickers or like merch, or every now and then maybe a chapter like they'll be able to
Right.
see. And then all the way up until like the VIP, which I think I have at either $15 or $20 a month, where
Yeah.
they'll get the actual thing. So they'll choose the cover art. So they'll get whatever form like we decide to do in the end, whatever's most cost effective for the time.
Yeah.
They'll
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
sent what everything that they chose, and they'll get different merch and surprises as time goes on.
It's
So
amazing.
yeah, I'm really excited about it so much. And I know authors out there, we all want to create. I know artists,
Right.
like I have so many artist friends that are like, just give me something to get my name out there. But I'm also like,
Yeah.
I'm going to pay you. Like, this is the thing too. It's not just about getting our names out there. Like, that is great. But it's also like, hey, we have supported each other for so long. If the readers are in on this with us, we should be able to at least make a little bit of money for the time we spend on
Yeah.
these projects. And just like we said at the beginning, authenticity, proving
Yeah.
ourselves. So
Yeah.
I have a mini collection right now that I'm making, what that is about two different fertility goddesses and their romance stories, for spring equinox coming up. And my two friends, one of them is writing a little bit more of an erotic uh, a chapter or a short story. I have a little bit, but I'm kind of keeping it more in the realm of, I like darker themes. So I'm trying not to
Yeah.
go too dark, but
Right.
keep it kind of on there. And then my friend is creating a character art, my other friend, and we're going to
Mhm.
send it out. We have about 5 subscribers right now, and I'm going to send them out because I'm like, I need to prove to you guys that you're going to get something from this, something real, something that is like shows merit, so that we can keep it snowballing and keep it an authentic, amazing, fun, creative explosion.
Right. Oh, God, that's amazing. Okay, because I could see this getting so big, and I'm gonna steer as many people your way as possible because like no, this is cool. This is like original, damn cool idea, and very,
Well,
very
thank you.
empowering. Oh, I mean, it's everything, right? Like connect readers with authors, and instead of like, oh, let's guess what the world wants, and let's, like, okay, what if the writers and readers have a conversation along the way, and we
Right.
make something together, right?
And it's like you spend so long writing a book and you try to market that book, right? And you show the cool cover that you paid an amazing artist to do, and you
Yeah.
show the process, but it's a long process. And in this case, it's like, look, here's a snippet of my capabilities as a writer.
Right.
You guys chose me. I am capable. I am the imposter syndrome will fade because I have it
Right.
right here telling available, and then you can go ahead for 3 months. So like quarterly, we would have like different authors on and artists. I'd love to expand it into photography, cosplayers,
Audiobook narrators. I mean,
audio
what? Right?
narrators
All
for
kinds of authors.
sure. Yeah. And
The other thing that
then
occurs to me.
yeah,
Okay,
go
sorry.
ahead, go ahead. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm prone to like when I hear an idea, I'm like, oh my god, and it branches out into all these other ideas. And sometimes you just need to dial in on like the initial idea is great. I'm going to stay focused on it. But even like I know, for example, there's so many, let's say like World War II veterans who have these incredible stories, and we're losing them every year. Like they're all
Right.
getting 100 years old, and they would probably like love to have someone ghost write some of these stories, but the
Oh my
services
gosh.
are all like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
like this kind of stuff.
oh my God. So I
Yeah,
just have to say this because,
yeah.
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but
No, no, please, please.
literally one of the genres I put is
Mhm.
memoir, and it's you could tell us a story, your story, and we could write it for you fictionalized, or we can write it in a biographical sense.
Yeah.
And if there is something as compelling as like a World War II veteran or survivor, or
Mhm.
something along those lines, then we would all take that on as a sensitive, important topic to share, because a lot of people would be interested in knowing someone's journey. And
Right.
yeah, my grandmom, Peggy Rowe, is a best time selling author, New York Times, and
Nice.
she was a memoirist. She is a memoirist. She writes all about her life and our lives. Sometimes I end
Yeah.
up in the book and stuff,
Yeah.
but it's still surprising to her how she was kind of a no name, and now people are so interested in her life and our family and these things, and it's just sort of
Right.
interesting that so I put that on there because I was like, a lot of people are into memoirs. A lot of people are into real stories. Like,
Right. Particularly like a lot of men don't read as much fiction. And that's another we're kind of more like but biographies and things are like, okay, who was Theodore Roosevelt? Who was this person who did this thing? And all these different options, I mean, really open up the market of readers because there's so many people who love to read, but there's a lot who are very practical, like what am I going to get out of it kind of thing. And or I want real stories, whatever. And I actually think fiction is sometimes more real, but that's amazing that through your grandma, you're like, okay, look, I've seen this before. Like, I know what the possibilities are. Like, a lot of indie authors don't necessarily know what the possibilities are, but you're like, I've seen it. Like, it's not weird to my family. Like, hey, like this
it's
can be done.
there.
I've seen it done. Yeah.
Yeah. And she
Oh,
was 80 when she became a New York Times bestselling author. So that's what made me go, there's no time limit. Like, I'm not too late. I don't have to keep losing my mental health on
right.
this in this job. I can always change course, and I can always change what's going to happen. And I love old people for that reason. I love
Right.
how they like open that up with all of their experience, and
Yeah.
that's why I love children so much too, because they're so fresh with their own perspectives.
Right.
um so I love having that juxtaposition, of like both of these ends of the spectrum matter, and us in the middle can highlight those feelings that we could get, the nostalgia, the fresh, the imaginative, the
Yeah, we
everything.
need that so bad. I honestly, I feel very, very connected to you.
I
um,
do too. No, I'm so happy. Like, I was definitely nervous at first because I was like, I know we're going to get along because we have such similar interests, obvious, and
right, right.
similarities of goals. But
There's a
we
lot of
have
common
never,
ground.
yeah, we
Yeah.
have never really talked voice, you know.
No,
So I was
yeah,
like,
this is the first
what if
real.
I get on here and I'm just like, like
A
the
lot of
typical
authors
anxiety.
I
Yeah.
know a lot of authors are nervous. Honestly, the first two podcasts I did, because I dread public speaking. I mean, like there was, oh my God, like I would have rather done anything than like give a speech in high school. It was
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh my God, could do anything to get me out of here, right? But yeah, a lot of like authors are nervous going in, but there's nothing to be, we're just people. Like even the most wealthy, famous people, like they're just people. It's all
Right.
just people, right? Like just be yourself, be happy. There is nothing wrong with putting yourself out there. I think it is so healthy to do things that scare you but are not dangerous. And
Right. Yeah, I
putting
love
a
that.
video, putting a video on TikTok is like that. Like, look, even if people leave you the nastiest comments, like you turn off your phone and you got your home, you got your family, you got your dog, you got your cat. Nothing can be taken from you like that. Like you're
Right.
good. You're good. You have all the things you woke up with. You still
Right.
got
Validation is great. Like everybody loves validation,
good.
but from the correct group of people is when it's powerful. And that's why
Yeah.
I feel so powerfully about Indie Creator Collective because it's bringing the right people to a
Yeah.
community where we can support each other's endeavors and give the opportunity to readers to really see us and be with us and write kind of with us, like outline with us, see the
Right.
journey, and then appreciate the end goal even more. Because when you're a part of a project and part of seeing something, you feel more connected to it emotionally. And
Right.
they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I picked that character. I picked that character art. I picked the way that they looked. I picked their love interest. I picked this.
Yeah.
And it also makes representation and inclusivity so easy because it's like they said they wanted this and I'm
Right.
giving it to them. And
Right.
here is all these indie authors that fit that stereotype, that mold, whatever.
Yeah.
Here they are breaking it and
Right.
showing you the true ooey center, like of what it
Yeah.
actually is.
I even love like, the readers might even pick the names, right? Like, oh, put my name in there. And like if they're willing to
Yeah.
sponsor it, right? Like they're helping to pay for the thing. It's almost like crowdsourcing and crowdfunding and like, hey, we're gonna build this thing together. And I mean, like
Yeah.
there's so much potential in this idea.
And I think a big push for me was the AI of it all, like coming
Right.
in. And I almost called it, let us be your chat GPT. Like, I'll write the email for you.
Ooh.
Okay. If you feel like you can't be empathetic in this situation, I'll do it for you. Just subscribe, whatever. I know that's
Yeah.
unrealistic of a turnaround, unless I'm going to constantly be on there because I'm not a computer. But
Right.
AI with my artist friends, especially digital and visual artists, they are so scared of AI taking what little ground they have. And now it's
Right.
encroaching into our realm of writers
Right.
even more. As a teacher, I can tell you they're pushing Gemini, ChatGPT on middle
Yeah.
schoolers and high schoolers to write their
Yep.
papers and to like go back and just fix a couple things. So this whole skill set is kind of, not to be like a fear mongerer. I wouldn't say it's in danger. Art will always thrive. There'll always
Yeah.
be room. But
Right.
it is important to me to be like, this is where you can get authentic, well written, well executed stories, characters, images from real people
Right.
that you can talk to and
No,
things like
because
that.
oh God, there's so much with the AI. Like one of these things that scares me is people holding credentials they're not really qualified for. Like cheating their way through school with
Yeah.
AI, and then they don't actually know how to fly a plane or something, for example. Like just because there
Yeah.
happens to be the planes crashing, right? But a bunch of people saying like, "Oh, I'm an engineer," is like, are you? Um, apparently ChatGPT can write better than 90% of people. So it's one of these things. It's like my generation and younger can't do cursive. And it's like now with ChatGPT, it's like these people are not going to be able to write basic
And
sentences, you know?
the illiteracy rate is talked about constantly
Right,
about
right,
being an
right.
epidemic and a problem. And then you're going to introduce AI to the mix. And
Yeah,
as a teacher, I can tell you, writing and reading are very much hand in hand. And as authors, we know that it's better for
right.
our craft when we're reading. And if you take one component away, the the writing away from these kids while they're developing that frontal lobe and they're developing all of these different skill sets,
Yeah,
they're going to be easier to be a corporate drone and worker and easier to be manipulated in certain senses,
yeah,
because when history knows when you are not literate, you are easily controlled and confined. And
yeah.
I love AI in certain aspects. I'm not damning the whole thing. It's
Right.
just when it comes to the arts or comes to fundamental skills, I don't think it should breach a school. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or our
Like
world.
it's so interesting. Like it could be such an amazing tool that we could do extraordinary things. But I think the counter that the counter narrative that we need to use is not about saying whether AI is good or bad. It's about saying why these other skills are important. Like why is it important for you to write your own essay? Why is it
Right.
important that you know how to write and how to articulate an idea? Like you know what I mean? It's like we need to build up the reality of how important those things are instead of saying, oh, AI is because like AI is here to stay. We need people to understand that like if you're not writing, if you don't know how to write, you don't know how to think in a lot of ways.
Right.
And
Or
yeah,
like if you don't know how to explain yourself, like
yes,
you don't understand a topic. And
right,
that's why a fifth level question is always explain your reasoning.
yes,
And that's when I learned that I could write because I would get the answer wrong, but my explanation of why I felt that way would be good and I would get most of the points because
right,
I cited a source, I did what I needed to do, and that
right,
was a big thing. And I feel like the kids that I'm seeing most recently are so nervous to explain themselves. They're so nervous
yeah.
of being wrong, which is normal, but with AI, it's they always say the thief is lazy, right? And
Ooh, you got a lot of good quotes. I'm like, damn.
I, I don't know. I don't know if you saw this or have seen this in your own journey when you were first starting out and maybe you felt like this of just this insecurity that someone's going to take your idea, right? Which
Mm,
is kind of the whole AI of it now makes that fear a little bit more real,
right.
but it's still not going, it's still lazy, right? To type it
Yeah,
in, it's still a lazy thing. And
right.
that is going to be seen by readers. That's why readers are calling it out left and right. And they're like, wait a minute, this doesn't sound emotional. I'm not connected to this.
There's nothing
Why are
original.
they mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no original ideas in AI. And
Right.
that's kind of the point, right? It's like taking, and one of these things, and it bothers me in my head, and I know this is like every time I publish a new book, I'm making AI a little bit more sophisticated. Like my ideas are being added to what AI understands and now can replicate.
Yeah.
But of course, like AI is going to take over kids' books first, right? Because kids' books is like, okay, let's take our best ideas and distill them down to the most easy to digest.
And we
And
can
then
already use a program for the pictures and the
yeah, like
art and
it'll do
stuff
the
like
art,
that.
it'll take the moral teachings and boil them down into the fewest words possible, the easiest way to understand. And I mean, it won't be that the work isn't valuable. It'll just be that the authors who were making it have to work a lot harder to stand out.
Right.
I do think, and back to the authenticity, readers like even this whole like readers are looking for art in books, like real paintings and drawings from the author and real illustrations. They're like something about the real thing and being able to hold the real thing. And it's not digital, it's
Yeah.
not fake, it's not replicatable. Like it is, you know, like there's a resurgence in even people like buying vinyl records. They're like, you know what? Let's get back to the real thing, damn it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think of like Roald Dahl, like when you open one of his books, it's
Right.
just there's a hand-drawn picture. It's not the best picture you've ever seen in your life, but it is there and it is his work and or an illustrator that he hired for the book. And it
Right.
is like you always know, oh, okay, this is what I'm getting. It's real, it's authentic, and it might look like chicken scratch, but I like it, and so do kids. So
It's real.
that's what
You're right.
matters.
It's real. Hey, I'll
Right.
tell you what, if the podcast goes, my computer, if the podcast gets a certain size, it like cannot process like the
No,
editing.
no, I have to go anyway because of
Yes.
my Grammy.
I'm like,
I have to
yeah,
go play
no.
pickleball. So
Oh, I have to play
I
pickleball.
have to play pickleball.
Oh, it's so
Such
oh, it sounds like an
a hard
amazing thing to
life.
do.
Yeah.
It's tough out here. Oh, I love pickleball too.
All right.
Okay,
Well, thank
I'm
you
gonna
so much for this. This
yes.
was so
No,
much fun.
no, this was the best. This is the most fun I've had in a hot minute. So, standing invite. You are welcome back anytime. I got the other show we do deep dive on like because this a lot of this was philosophy. So like you're welcome on that show anytime. I know we'd have
Oh, I
extraordinary
love
talks.
that.
Yeah. So here, over there, as this project is continuing, yeah, anytime you want, like, just be like, hey, 10 minutes. I'm like, all right, I'm getting the Zoom link. We're good.
Oh, perfect.
Open
I
offer.
love
Open
that.
offer. Yeah. I'll
Oh,
have you send me all your links and info. I'll put everything in the description for the video. Like, I want to just make you as visible, accessible as possible. I think every author and reader should follow you. You're a whole lot of fun. You're doing amazing things. And I'm like, okay, if you love books, people should know you. Like
oh,
anyone who's books should
thank
know you.
you.
So we're doing things.
Oh, I
Yeah.
appreciate you so much. I'm telling you, what I said at the beginning, I have not felt luckier since November. That was when that chat happened on TikTok and
Yeah.
when we all
Yeah.
connected. And I truly believe that was like a turning point for me. And I know other authors in there. So I
Right.
definitely appreciate everything.
No, it's wonderful. I'm loving what we're doing, and I'm loving. I think we're making the whole pie bigger for indie books, right? It's like all of our efforts, they don't go wasted, right? Like we're bringing in more indie readers. We're bringing in, we're not competing as much as like we're making the whole market. We're taking people away from the mainstream and adding them into this ecosystem, and there is room for all of us. And the more we work together, too. I mean, I think we'll make better art. We'll reach more people. We'll inspire one another. I love where this is all headed.
Me
That's what I'm
too.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, me
All
too.
right. And I'm
Okay.
excited to be part of your project here. So we will be definitely in touch. Yeah.
Yes, for
We're in
sure.
touch.
For sure.
All right.
All right.
Wonderful.
Have a
Well, yeah. Have fun with your family and have fun playing
thank you.
pickleball.
Yeah. Have a great day. Thank
You
you
too. Talk
again.
to you soon. All
Bye.
right. Bye. Authors, let me tell you about my experience with the Reader's Favorite Book Award. So in 2023, I won a silver medal award for The Flower from the Garbage, and that reinvigorated my writing. I will tell you, I spent a year writing this book, and then on the back end, I wasn't sure how to market it. I wasn't on TikTok, a lot of social media, no YouTube, none of this. And I had no idea how to sell the book. And I couldn't even tell if the book was good. Like while I was writing it, I was so excited. I felt like the book was amazing. And then a little bit of time gets away from you and you start losing a little bit of that confidence. So I submitted the book to this contest and kind of just forgot about it. And then months later, I got the email that I'd won a silver medal in literary fiction. And it just absolutely reinvigorated all of my enthusiasm, the passion, like everything that got you into this dream brought that back for me. Like it had kind of felt like it was fading out a little bit. I got to tell you, it was an incredible feeling. So the Reader's Favorite Book Awards, it's not just for indie authors. Anyone's open to it. So like people from, books from Penguin or large publishers or independently self-published, doesn't matter. It is open. It is totally merit-based. There's a lot of different categories. If you think you've written something good, throw your hat in the ring, get in on this contest. It is an amazing thing to do. It's a profoundly rewarding feeling when you win something. They have gold medal, silver, bronze, honorable mention, illustrators, all kinds of things. And then there's an award ceremony in November, at least in 2023, it was in November, and it was in tandem with the Miami Book Fair, which is really cool. So when I won, I went to this conference, and you have to, grab your hotel, grab your flight, but they pay for the actual conference. They have amazing guest speakers that were very, very valuable. One gentleman was a radio host who specializes in, how to get authors into different interviews, those settings. He has a podcast too, invited a lot of the authors. I went on there. It was totally free service. He gave a great seminar at the event. different marketing strategies, different experienced authors coming in to talk. That panel of speakers was incredibly valuable. And then you go to the award ceremony, and it is an amazing opportunity to get videos and photos. You get a medal. Take all the marketing pictures and videos that you can. This is an amazing thing. I mean, so much good content you get from that. You're surrounded by other authors that, maybe you've never heard of, who aren't on other social media, but other people chasing this dream have written something really good. If you think you've written something good, throw your hat in the ring. I'm telling you, really, you absolutely have to do that. It's like $75 to get in on the contest. Not a big deal, but imagine if you could put an award like that on the cover of your book, on the front or back, and tell readers who are maybe on the fence about taking a chance on your book that, like, look, this book is good. This has been independently verified that this is a very high quality book. And then even for you, just personally feeling like, all right, look, I absolutely deserve to be here. It is a very amazing thing. And of course, we are very grateful that they're, helping out our indie author podcast. That's amazing. Any organization that's supporting authors, that's huge for us, right? So there's a link in the description. It's an affiliate link that it supports this channel when you click on it. So we're very grateful. If you're going to enter this contest, please use the link in the description here. I'm throwing the Blueberry Daughter in this contest, and hopefully we'll see each other in November in person. There's a lot of amazing authors that I'm working with, and it'd be cool to hang out in person somewhere. So in Miami, in tandem with the Miami Book Fair, we'll walk around Miami with our medals, signing books, doing the thing. It would be an amazing time. I would love to see you get in on this contest. I would love to see either of us, ideally both of us, win something this year. That would be cool.